Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review and book discussion of Dark Age by Pierce Brown. So this is the fifth book in the Red Rising series. You have the first Red Rising trilogy, and then you have Iron Gold, which is set 10 years afterwards, and then you have this book, which is set immediately after the events of Iron Gold. So I have to say, this is my absolute favourite science fiction series. So if you don't know anything about the series, I'll give you a very brief background as to what it's all about. So society is based on a colour system, and at the bottom are the Reds, and they are essentially slaves. And then you move up through the colour system, and then at the top are the Golds, and they are the ruling class of society. And your main character is Darrow, and he is a Red, and he is essentially part of an organisation who is trying to overthrow society and overthrow the government and topple the ruling class of the Golds, and to ultimately free his people from oppression and from slavery. Now, I am going to be going into some spoilers for this book, so if you don't want to see that and you want to read the book, pause the video now. So this book is told from 5 different perspectives. We have Darrow, Lysander, Virginia, Ephraim and Lyria. Now, this is the very first time in the series that we see Virginia's perspective, and I really like it. I think it's a really great inclusion, and it's about time that we have her point of view. Obviously, there's going to be a much heavier focus on the politics, as Virginia is, of course, the sovereign. But I really enjoyed that aspect. It was nice to kind of have the juxtaposition between the war and the fighting with Darrow and with Lysander, and then have the kind of political side and the political aspects with Virginia. So the story is also set across a couple of planets. You have Darrow and Lysander on Mercury, and Virginia is on Luna. So I would say all of the characters mentioned in this book really do change and develop and evolve throughout the course of this book. And I really enjoyed that, because it definitely felt like we were getting somewhere, and some of the characters were genuinely developing and evolving and maturing, and I liked that. So first up, let's talk about Lysander. So in this book, Lysander learns that his mother was a reformer. Now, he learns this through Calendora. I think that's how you say her name. That's how I say it. So on her deathbed, Calendora confesses to Lysander that it was actually his grandmother Octavia who ordered the deaths of his parents. And the people who killed his parents and set the bomb was Calendora herself and also Atlantia. So I am predicting that in the course of the next book, Lysander is going to turn and change his allegiances, and I think he's going to become like a good guy with Darrow. Now, I don't know, does anyone else think that? I kind of am hoping that's where his character's going to develop, and we're going to have this like wonderful redemption arc. But that might just be because he's one of my favourite characters and I'm a bit biased. So if you think so, let me know down in the comments. So the fact that Lysander is now engaged to Atlantia, the woman who killed his parents, I think that's a really excellent setup for the next book. I think that's going to be really interesting. So Darrow, he is still alive. I genuinely cannot believe he didn't die in this book. There were countless times when he was essentially toast, but now he's still alive. I think, personally, a little bit of me would have quite liked it had he actually have died in this book. I know he's our main character and he's our hero, but I would have kind of liked to see the responsibility fall onto the younger generation, like Electra and Pax. So I also really enjoyed the growing relationships between Victra, Volga and Lyria. I thought that was a really lovely kind of, well, it wasn't lovely, I mean, It was bloody and awful, but I really enjoyed to see their growing relationship, and they genuinely have, at the end of it, a lot of trust and respect for each other. And that's strange because obviously the different colours they are, gold and obsidian and red, and I liked that kind of way that these three very unlikely trio find themselves together in this situation and kind of develop that relationship. I enjoyed seeing that. I thought that was really good. I also really enjoyed the character development of Lyria. She's really coming into her own now. She's a genuine force to be reckoned with. And now she's got this parasite in her head. She's going to become a real key player in the next book. And I'm excited for that because it's kind of like, she's like a young Darrow, you know, because she's a red. And I think she might be pretty impactful in the next book. So let's talk about Ephraim. His redemption arc in this book is just absolutely wonderful. He becomes one of my absolute favourite characters in this book. And before this, I really didn't like him for obvious reasons. But he really shows this other side to himself, this kind of deeper side where he's actually a really good character. So obviously when he was becoming one of my favourite characters in this book, I do think it's a shame that he died. And I genuinely would have enjoyed seeing more of him in the series, but I'm glad that he went out in style and it was dramatic. Obviously the assassination attempt failed, but let's be honest, was Volsung Far going to be killed off in this book? Absolutely no way. The entire book is setting up his character as the new big bad, the next big enemy. So if he would have died in this, I mean, he just wouldn't, would he? It wasn't going to happen. So the next character I'm going to talk about is the Jackal. Now that was one character I never thought we'd be seeing again. I was genuinely shocked and surprised when he came back. I mean, he's not back. He is a clone of the Jackal and he is a child again. And the fact that Lilith became pregnant and gave birth to him, I mean, I wasn't expecting that. So that definitely for me had the shock factor. The whole plot line with the Jackal clone and Lilith, it's just creepy. I mean, it is creepy. Now, one character notable for his absence is Severo. He was always my absolute favourite character, and he is absent from the vast majority of this book. I kept, as I was reading it, I was like, where's Severo? When's he gonna pop up? I genuinely missed his character in this book because to me, he's the one that gives kind of lightheartedness and kind of humour and witticisms. So I think it was lacking here, and this book just needed more Severo. That's it. Just needed more Severo. So I am hoping that he is going to play a greater role in the next book. I really want to see more of him. The fact that it ends with him and the Howlers imprisoned by clone Jackal. No. Need to see more of him. Now, talking overall, the violence in this book has definitely been cranked up a notch, maybe a couple of notches compared to Iron Gold. It's just so much darker and more gruesome, and it's just so much more high stakes, I think. It is. It's definitely, yes, more impactful, I would say, in terms of violence than the previous books. So the most shocking and the darkest moment for me was the death of Ulysses, Victra's newborn baby. I mean, it was dark. The fact that he was nailed to a tree, and when Lyria found him, I genuinely thought he might not be dead and she was going to get him off the tree and revive him. No, I was wrong. He's definitely dead. And it genuinely shocked me. I was like, I think I gasped. Gasped. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, I think I gasped when I read the line that he had been nailed to a tree. And it genuinely did. It genuinely shocked me. Now, whilst we're talking about shocking deaths, the next death that hit me hard was Daxo's. The fact that he was just beheaded and then his head was just tossed into the mob. He deserved better. I was like, no, I really liked Daxo. And yes, he was trying to protect Virginia, obviously. Even so, he deserved better than that. The way Sephi died, brutal. That was brutal. Harmony dies, not too fussed about that one. Dancer dies, kind of over him. And Alexander dies. Now, the way that Lysander just kind of casually shoots him in the head, he deserved better. Alexander, Daxo, they deserved a better ending than this. But yeah. Overall, there are a lot of deaths in this book. I think Pierce Brown has taken a leaf out of George R.R. Martin's book when it comes to killing off characters, and killing off some beloved characters at that. It's definitely become more brutal, as I said before, more gruesome, high stakes, and I really like it. I think it's great. In fact, there are only 2 good and happy things that I can even think of that actually happened in this book. So first off, the fact that Pax and Electra are reunited with their mothers, Virginia and Victra. I was pleased about that. That was good. Next up, Cassius. He is alive. I mean, I was quite shocked that he was alive. I thought he was a goner, but no. And I really hope we see a lot more of Cassius in the next book, because from the very beginning, from the first book, Red Rising, he was one of my favourite characters. I really liked him. So yes, the next book, it needs more Severo and more Cassius and probably a lot more deaths. Yeah. So it has just recently started to rain quite heavily, so I hope you can't hear that too much. Nearly finished anyway. So that's all of my thoughts on Dark Age. Please do leave your thoughts down in the comments. I would absolutely love to talk to you about this book and to hear what you think of it, if you've read it, and I mean, if you haven't read it and you're here, then I ruined it all. I'm sorry. Yes, I'd really love to hear what you think of it. And also, I'd love to hear your predictions for the next book. Where do you think it's going to go? What do you think is going to happen? What kind of characters do you think are going to develop? Who do you think is going to die? All of those things, all the good stuff. Put it down in the comments. I'd really love to talk to you about it. So to wrap up, I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to be reading the next one when it's published. So thank you for watching, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear me talking more about books. Bye!